In the 1960s, social reform movements became more popular than ever. Various people became very influential within said movements, and sent their followers into the world to preach their philosophical ideals. Some were radical, and some were more tame. Each of these groups had a central goal, whether it be anti-war or desegregation. Whatever the cause, leaders of reform and leaders of state alike faced the threat of assassination, and some did meet untimely demise. Their deaths affected society in numerous ways. The assassination of Ngo Dinh Diem via military coup created an opening for the Vietnamese in the South to unite against the Americans. This led to severe leadership conflicts in the years to come. President Kennedy and the American people were dismayed at the news of Ngo's death. All in all, this was one of the most influential moments in the Vietnam War, as it removed the American arm of government in South Vietnam and opened the playing field to the Viet Cong. Less than a month later, President Kennedy was shot during a drive to Love Field in Dallas, Texas. This began a period of conspiratorial speculation among the American people. Many wondered whether Ngo's death and Kennedy's were linked. Throughout the rest of the country, a general wave of sadness showered the people of the United States. The youthful Camelot administration of Kennedy was suddenly and unceremoniously torn from the lives of Americans. This only exacerbated anti-war protests, segregation protests, and other demonstrations because the disillusioned people of the United States no longer had a relatable leader. The loss of President Kennedy was, perhaps, the strongest precursor to the cynicism of the 1970s. Malcolm X was an influential civil rights activist and member of the Nation of Islam, who believed that white people were inherently oppressive in society. However, after embarking on a Hajj, the hospitality displayed by people of all colors inspired him to change his ideals and shortly thereafter leave the Nation of Islam. Members of the nation later assassinated Malcolm X because of this. The death of this respected civil rights leader led many to fight even harder for the desegregation of the United States. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the primary motivators of the civil rights movement and a prominent member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. As a general rule, King believed in creating a racially equal America via civil disobedience. As time went on, however, he began to adopt a socialist aspect like that of the Black Panther Party and wanted to change the government altogether. This was not well received by Cold War-oriented Americans. In fact, the government even privately encouraged him to commit suicide. His assassination brewed controversy among the American public, who became even more militant about civil rights. This ushered the movement along until desegregation was achieved in the United States.
In the 1960s, many movements sprang up. Said movements gained much influence when several American men were murdered. John Fitzgerald Kennedy represented the youth of America. His death created a generation gap between the president and society that would transition into the counterculture movement. Martin Luther King Jr. was a prominent member of the desegregation movement. His death caused the strengthening of said movement. Malcolm X's death represented the violent changes of the movement towards the end of the 1960s. Each death moved America into a different stage that less and less supported or trusted the government. Such trust issues would play a key role in the Vietnam War, disparity between peoples, and an overall anger that would only make communist powers like Russia and China look extremely appealing. Thank you for watching our PBL video on assassinations.